Let's get some culture now for you on the programme. I'm joined in the studio by France 24's film critic Lisa Nesselson. Hi, Lisa.
Hi there.
You're going to be starting us off then with the nominations for the César. That is the French equivalent of the Oscars.
Yes, we found out just a few hours ago what will be competing on February 22nd. And the Césars, they're just like the Oscars because except that nobody campaigns and millions of dollars aren't at stake, and the ceremony is telecast with no commercials and no censorship and no time limits. It's very French. It's kind of wonderful. Two very, very different films tied with 10 nominations. One of them is called Le Grand Bain, Sink or Swim, about a group of adult men who are all kind of losers or at a bad place in their middle-aged lives. And so they decide to learn how to do synchronized swimming. That's the obvious solution. It's a comedy that sold almost 5 million tickets, which for France is colossal. The remake rights have been sold for the English-speaking world. I think I laughed 2 or 3 times, but French audiences just love this. And the other one with 10 nominations is very different, Jusque la Gare, or Custody, which is a very serious, tense drama about spousal abuse. The president this year will be Kristen Scott Thomas, and she will be reunited with her director from The Horse Whisperer, Robert Redford, who's going to be the object of the annual homage that they try to do to someone of great accomplishment in the cinema world.
Let's turn our attention then to the Oscars. The nominations there announced yesterday, and it is Green Book that's picked up 5 nominations. It'll be out here in France this week, and it's based on true friendship between 2 very different kinds of people.
Very, very different kinds of people. And instead of saying based on a true story, it says based on a true friendship on screen. Viggo Mortensen plays Tony Lip, an Italian-American man's man who works as a bouncer in his native Bronx, New York. Tony's a repository of racist prejudice of which he's completely unaware because racial animosity is simply par for the course in 1962 when this is set. But he gets hired by Don Shirley, played by Mahershala Ali, and whereas Tony is a walking stereotype of an Italian-American, Don Doc Shirley is pretty unusual. He's a classically trained concert pianist. He studied at the conservatory in the Soviet Union. He speaks 8 languages. He lives in a lavish penthouse atop Carnegie Hall, and he's worldly and effete, but because he happens to be black, well, he needs Tony to be his driver come bodyguard for a trip through the Deep South where Doc Shirley has a series of recitals lined up. Let's take a look at an exchange between the 2 protagonists when they stop on the road. Tony really misses his wife, and Don kind of helps him write her a letter.
Falling in love with you was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Nothing matters to me but you. And every day I'm alive, I'm aware of this. I loved you the day I met you. I love you today, and I will love you the rest of my life. So can I put P.S. Kiss the Kids?
A P.S.?
Yeah, like at the end.
That's like clanging a cowbell at the end of Shostakovich's The 7th.
Right. So that's good.
It's perfect, Tony.
It's very much like my kind of thing, I have to say. But tell us, where does the name Green Book come in the title?
Well, that's why movies are educational. I had never heard of this crucial document, a book put together by a U.S. postal worker listing hotels and restaurants in the segregated South where a non-white person could safely eat or sleep or put gas in their car or even use the restroom, sometimes a matter of life and death. And the full title is The Negro Motorist's Green Book. Now, Viggo Mortensen got into trouble for uttering what we now call the N-word in a public discussion about the film in November. And at the risk of stating the obvious, I think everyone knows that racism is bad. It's a bad thing. It's abhorrent. It's also a fact of history and of contemporary life. And there's a vocabulary that goes with that. Mortensen did say the N-word, but he didn't call anybody you N-word, you. He used it in context. Viggo Mortensen doesn't have a racist bone in his body. He's the opposite of an insensitive boor. But taken out of context, N-bomb headlines were pointlessly divisive clickbait. France 24's Olivia Salazar-Winspear spoke to Viggo Mortensen as this is what he had to say about that manufactured controversy.
What I was saying was that just because people don't say that word anymore, it doesn't mean that they don't still harbor discrimination, racism inside themselves. As the people who were in the room know, including Mahershala Ali and Peter Farrelly, the context in which I used the word, which is shocking to people still, especially coming from a white person, was to talk about the need for each generation to continue working, because it does not disappear. It's something we always have to be wary of. That's what I was talking about.
With that, then, we say goodbye to Lisa Nesselson from our Culture Desk. Thank you very much.